Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome back, everyone, for episode 448 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing, listened and viewed by millions all over the globe. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Episode 448, Tommy.
You know, there was some
Kind of
controversy
saved it all
with the
for
number
this
last
one.
week.
What? Say that
There
again?
was some controversy with the number last week.
I said it wrong, didn't I? Did I say 464?
I think so, and I did not even catch it one bit.
Yep, I guess you live and you learn.
We'll have to just keep trying next week, right?
I'll get it right. I'll get it right the next time we come around at 547 or whatever the number is. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Actually, what happened is we were looking at different title topics this week, and I kind of almost incidentally put something out on Instagram that I didn't realize just is essentially a Q&A. I wasn't tackling it as a Q&A. I was looking for titles and title topics, sort of fishing for those, and it just turned into really this is a Q&A now. We got so many submissions, and most of them are not like title topics like we might normally tackle. So somewhere in this maze of Q's, I think we will find a title topic or two. And maybe every time we hear what could potentially be a title topic,
We'll flag it.
We'll flag it.
Give it the ooh-ah.
Yeah, so we know to just when the ooh-ah pops up in editing, we'll be like, oh, that was something we got to check out there.
That's right.
We oohed and ah-ah-ah-ad. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Juggernaut AI. It's juggernautai.app. That's where you can check it out. That's the website. We do have a 10% discount code there. When you sign up, you can save 10%, and we get a little bit of something back from Juggernaut then too. So it's kind of a win for you at a discount, a win for us with a kickback, and a win for Juggernaut AI with a new member in their ever-growing pool of lifters that consume and use Juggernaut AI. It's the training that Tommy's using is in big squats this week. We'll be able to talk about that. Juggernaut has helped him on his road to that. It's the training that I've used when I am able to train. Not currently, but if I was, I would use Juggernaut AI. Yeah, I would use it. So check them out, juggernautai.app. If you want to get signed up, use the discount code.
And this episode is also brought to you by Swisslink. Since 1995, Swisslink has been importing military-issue goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Swisslink.com is your home for all things military from forces around the world. Right now, if you hop on there, you can see big on the homepage. They got the Swisslink stainless steel water cans available in 10 and 20 liter options. And we've talked about these things before. They fit all your wavy and can holders. They look great. I mean, these things, stainless steel, come on. That's like the best way to do anything. And you get free shipping on all over $75. So head on over to Swisslink.com. And while you're there, make sure to use code MASS at checkout, and you can save 15% on your next purchase. Swisslink.com, code MASS will save you 15%. Thank you, Swisslink.
For anyone watching or this live or watching the recording, I am going to be sitting side saddle for some of this episode because I have my leg elevated.
You're trying to ride one horse with two asses.
Yeah. Finally, will we be able to answer the disprove the age-old wives' tale that you cannot ride two horses with just the one ass. I'm going to do my best this week to ride the two horses.
But really,
the one ass.
It's the hashtag road to recovery is in full effect.
It's the hashtag road to recovery. So I'm just elevating my leg out of pure necessity right now. But I also won't be able to sit cockeyed like this the whole time. So I'll just be uncomfortably. I'll be uncomfortably rotating around most of the episode. Right. So I won't cover that again. Every time I make that move, I won't rehash what's going on. You'll just know why I'm doing these awkward movements on the camera.
So you got to bring us up to speed. What's the road looking like here?
Oh my Christ. My
That
brothers
good, huh?
in Christ. This is worse than I remember.
It is actually worse than you remember, huh?
Yeah, I mean I'm being a little overdramatic right now, but it is worse than I remember. It's pretty brutal on just about all fronts. It is painful.
And in case someone missed maybe last week, Tanner did have surgery to repair his ACL.
Yeah, so on Thursday, I guess there's probably some questions regarding this when we get to the questions. So maybe as we get to those, I might say, hey, we already kind of covered that. But so the quickest rundown that I can do, which I never do anything all that quick, but here we go. Thursday, I had the surgery, had my ACL and meniscus repaired, went about as good as it could. Got done Thursday afternoon, just in time for our drop. The nurse wheeled me in.
To pile that work on.
The first thing I can remember with coming out of surgery is looking up, and there was like looking and being like, oh fuck, I'm awake. Okay. Like this is done. And then I'm like, where's the clock? Because they didn't, they don't send your phone with you,
What time is it?
Yeah. What time is it? I want to know
Like, I gotta
the
get
drop
out of here.
status. And I'm like, oh, it's like 2:30. And, to our early release to our Discord crew, our supporting members doesn't start for like 30 minutes. So I'm like, oh God, I wonder if they can get me to the next stop within the next 30 minutes so I can monitor what's going, so I can see what's going on as it's going. So I was trying, because I was like still very, very sleepy at that point. So I was doing my best every time the nurse would come to appear very awake so that she would wheel me out of this like
ready
first
for
recovery
duty.
room.
Here we go.
Yeah. And be like, how you feeling? I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm so awake. I'm so awake right now.
Never
I just
been
can't
so
believe how
awake
awake
in
I
my
am.
whole life.
She'd walk away and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to rest for a second. And they did wheel me into the, I don't know that my antics played a role, but they wheeled me into the waiting room where my wife was at waiting for me and stuff, right? Just a little bit before 3. So I'm like, first I wasn't too under the weather at the time to not crack a few classic dad wise man jokes where as soon as they wheel me in the hospital bed and my wife is there and the first thing I said is, I've been looking for you everywhere. And her and the nurses got a good kick out of that. Yeah. And then we laughed a little bit and I said, now how's about you give me that phone so I can see what's going on in the drop here. Yeah. And then actually Flying Ryan's wife, your brother's wife, was there. And we were talking and saying hi and stuff. And then after a while I said, I'm not being an asshole, but there's like a Massenomics drop and a lot of stuff going on. So I'm going to look at my phone right now because I want to see what's going on with, yeah. So I'm already making a short story long, but that was,
to be fair though,
that was
a lot of business to take care of. It was,
I'm like, to transition this even to talk about the drop went awesome. If anyone hasn't seen it, we released the 2 lifting department shorts in 2 colors, in the royal blue and the OD military green. And then we released what we call the smoke tee, where it's the oversized tee with the Massenomics across the chest. And then the sand hoodie that I'm wearing right now that just has a little logo, and then the Massenomics Apparel Co. Since Forever on the sleeve. And all of it was really well received. So it was making my knee feel better, I'd have to say. As I was watching the orders come in, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little better.
Make Tanner's knee feel better.
Every order was just like a little tickle to my knee of make it just a little sprinkle of pain relief on my knee every time I saw an order come in over the weekend. But everything did go really well. So as of right now, there's some sizing out of some stuff. There's not very many of these hoodies left. The sizing's actually still pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like most sizes are available, but the quantities of everything, I'm looking at it, there's like barely anything in the piles of the sand hoodie right now. There's a couple behind me there too, but the smoke tee sold really well, but the sizing has worked out good that most sizes are still available. And then in the lifting department shorts, which are awesome, I cannot recommend these shorts enough. It's the same blank that we used on the squat shorts, and I don't have to brag about them too much. I think everyone else agrees that they've turned out really, really good. And I would just highly recommend getting a pair of those shorts if you haven't, honestly. I think you won't regret it. Like, I think the price on those is really good, and I think what you get is really good. So it's kind of like, I mean, you can't afford not to classically.
Yeah, I've loved wearing all the items from the drop.
What's your favorite thing from the drop?
That's actually a really good question
because it's a really good drop.
It is.
This sand hoodie's pretty sweet though.
The sand hoodie is like, I've had it on for like the last 3 days. I finally took it off today. The smoke tee.
I've been wearing it all week.
I wore it
to surgery.
Oh, it's classic. I wore the smoke tee to work out the other day. Actually, I had it on for the whole day, and then I was wearing it during my workout. I'm like, this thing is so awesome because it's kind of the boxy fit, but it's also a little softer than the other ones we've had in the past too. It's just like, it might be like the perfect shirt. It's so good. And, God, the shorts are good too. I don't know. This might be the hardest time I've ever had trying to decide a favorite item from the drop.
Yeah, because they are all pretty legit, aren't they?
They are really good.
Yeah, I wore the smoke tee also to surgery for like 3 days, and then my wife finally made me change out of that one. She said, "You've been wearing that shirt long enough." Actually, my one daughter even said, "Dad, you've been wearing that shirt for a really long time."
There's just food all over it.
But it's kind of like,
like,
tie dye, so you can't really.
hides,
It's the perfect mask. Yeah,
stains,
right, right. Yes. And then everyone knows you don't really ever have to wash a hooded sweatshirt. Like until it's visibly dirty or like noticeably stinky, you don't need to wash a hooded sweatshirt. Crew neck sweatshirt you might need to wash a little more frequently than
just
a hooded sweatshirt.
Hood on it, so
the hood like adds like twice the wear time.
The odor masking properties of the hood.
It gets trapped in the hood.
Yeah,
like it soaks into the hood.
Yeah, it evens it out.
Do you kind of understand where I'm coming from on that though? That like a hoodie seems like a hoodie's really close to a coat.
Yep.
And
let it ride.
But then a crew neck sweatshirt is a little bit closer to a long sleeve t-shirt, and a long sleeve t-shirt you have to wash it like after every time almost.
Unless it's like a workout long sleeve that you kind of just wear like
you're like wear over the top. No, then you can wear that for weeks.
Yeah,
as long as that's just a smell test.
That's what I always
really
had at the gym forever. I
had
my workout long sleeve, and it's like, all right, I wear this to warm up, and once I think I'm almost warmed up, that comes off, and I can just keep that going forever. Yeah,
you had like a black one with yellow writing or something like that.
Had the busker on my dad's business on it.
Yeah, that and your Team Bald Eagle
yes.
green sweatshirt. Do you still have that one?
It's somewhere. Yeah, that one is somewhere.
Actually, just has like a bald eagle on it.
Yeah, it was like a $10 Walmart crew neck that had like the over dramatic bald
realistic. Right.
Yeah, that was the uniform for whole seasons.
So I guess otherwise on the knee, I got out of surgery Thursday. I didn't get to packing orders until like Saturday a little bit, and then mostly Sunday, myself and Jack got down here and we really cracked the whip and busted out some serious hours of order packing with him and me together. We really, by myself, it would have taken me weeks because I am immobile without crutches still. So and most things aren't within arm's reach.
Yeah.
They're
just out of arm's reach. They're close.
Yes. But it's like, I can't really get to it without my crutches. So I have to and then a lot of orders have like 3 things in it. So I have to crutch my will.
Extender hook things, that you can grab, the grabber thing.
That's an idea. Yeah. Like that's, would have worked, came in handy for some things, but then like the hooded sweatshirts that are all in a pile, and then the shorts that are all in boxes, like not really well sorted by size. You're digging through. Right.
You need 2 hook hands then. That one, 2 of them.
He is just like firing off over here. Yeah. So by Sunday we had most of those packed up, but Saturday I had to go to the emergency room actually because I had an infection in my leg.
You were telling me this. This is crazy.
Which that was, that sucked also because I ended up being in the hospital for like 3 or 4 more hours. And I'm like, I do not want to be in the hospital anymore. Like when we saw what was going on, I was like, oh, I don't even want to show my wife this because I'm like, I had a good run. It might be fine. I'll just ride it out. And then I'm like, okay, I better bring this up. So I showed it to her and she's like, oh. Took some pictures.
Don't ever show me that again.
Send it to some of our doctor friends, and they're like, "Yeah, you really should probably go to the emergency room for that. And I'm like, oh, no.
Perfect. I missed the hospital. It's been so
Yeah.
long.
So we go to the emergency room, and it was an infection in my shin. My shin from like below my knee all the way to my ankle was completely numb. Like the first top half of my leg, you know, the top side of my leg from like just below knee to ankle, like you could have whacked me with a stick.
Really?
And I couldn't have, like it was completely numb. Like I had no feeling sensation. And they're like, you know, at first they're like, well, sometimes, you know, you do lose some, you know, some nerve endings get damaged and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but not to my whole half of my lower leg. You know, I'm like, I can't, you know, I'm like, that's, I mean, I suppose that's possible still, but it didn't seem like the case, but it was all red and hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to make sure it wasn't a blood clot. And then if it was an infection, it wasn't a bad infection. And it turns out it was an infection, but not, maybe a somewhat superficial infection, I guess, whatever that means. So it was like, here's some antibiotics and let us know if it gets worse. Jeez. So I got to leave, and now I've been on the road to recovery. On Monday, I went to my first physical therapy session. That went pretty well. But the last few days, it just is painful, and it just hurts, and I've just forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, this sucks. Like every time I get up to do something, there's like a blood rush to my leg that I'm like, I completely forgot about this. This goes on for a while, where like when I'd get out of bed in the morning, I have to just stand in place for like 5 to 10 seconds and just like bite my lip and be like, oh,
really?
yeah.
Like all the blood going into your leg.
Yeah. It's like a really crappy, painful sensation. And then like, it kind of like levels out a little bit. And I'm like, okay, let's go, you know, like, okay. So that, and it just hurts. It's swollen. It's big. It's crap. You know, like when we went and saw Donnie, like I'd forgot. I mean, I kind of had, like he had a knee replacement, which is more severe, of course, but that feeling of when someone's sitting there hooked up to the ice machine, got the big swollen thing, like that is me now. And I knew I had done that before, but I just kind of forgot it. And I'm like, when we were there BSing with him, I wasn't really thinking about what he was feeling.
Right.
And now in hindsight, I'm like, oh yeah, that's, and you know, like watching how hard it was for him to get out to the storage shed and
then
stuff.
Also be like, oh, let me go walk and do a tour with these guys man, he was a trooper now thinking back on that actually.
Yes, he was a trooper, because I'm like, yeah, that sucks.
You have to send him a message and be like, oh man, I relate to what you were doing on another level now. Yes,
but on that note, it was good to see. I see he's like walking without walker, without cane and stuff now, so he's doing well. Is really good to see. But it did give me an additional, not that I didn't respect him for it before, but I'm like, yes.
Well, he just seems so nonchalant about it though, that I'm like, this must not be bugging him at all.
Right. No. But the worst of it is I just can't sleep at night. So I've had like, I don't know, almost a week of like, I don't even know when I've slept. Like it's just like like every night is like I'm in a torture chamber almost of where God. Like, and usually it's like the pain isn't that bad. I literally just, sometimes it hurt. It's just like discomfort, which leads to like just uncomfortableness.
Right. Yeah. You can never relax totally.
Right. That paired with, I was thinking about this. Like my normal life schedule is for the last year, I go to the gym 4 days a week for 2 hours and lift very hard. And then I would play basketball 2 or 3 days a week for 2 hours really hard. Like, so 6 to 7 days of the week, I was doing an hour and a half to 2 hours of like strenuous activity during the day.
Yeah.
And now, and plus going to work and running around with 4 kids and doing Massenomics. And now I like sit on my ass for 24 hours a day without knowing what to even really do for the most part. I'm like, I believe is maybe contributing to me not sleeping more than anything. It's just like, I don't do anything. So
your body just is lost now all of a sudden.
Yeah. I just feel like the same 24/7, not like more awake and more sleepy at times. I'm just like kind of sleepy all the time.
And then you think, God, some people just live their whole lives like this. It's
several people made that comment and I'm like, that's brutal. That is actually true. And that is,
some people choose to live like this.
that's so the missing out on the exercise is kind of killing me, you know, and then the mental fatigue of what I'm describing here is probably the hardest part right now, where I'm like, okay, this sucks balls, but I just have to make it to another day. And like, then I'm like, okay, when I get out of the bed today, is it just going to feel a little better?
Right.
And then I'll get out and be like,
a little bit.
yeah, and I'll be like, that doesn't feel better at all, you know. And then it's just like the mental wear of that. But I do know it is, you know, even if like it's more painful, it might be a sign of, you know, progress even at times too. But
yeah,
the physical and then I got to do my physical.
Before. You know, it gets better eventually.
I do, but I kind of get foggy on the details somewhere in between here though, where I'm like,
sometime in the next 6 months it might feel better.
That's why I'm like, when do I just walk and not like it is the wildest thing though. You know, an example of this we talk about when you're sick and you're like, I can't breathe out of my nose. I would die to be able to breathe out of my nose again. And then when you can again, after you have that for a while, you're like, I don't know, it's just normal.
Yeah, back to business.
Yeah, when I stand there and I'm like, I cannot flex my quad hard enough to just stand. I'm like, why is my quad not moving? You know, like I cannot control my leg enough just to stand erect, which is like really weird, you know?
That is.
Like, I'm like, I know. And I'm like, I just want to flex my quad. And I'm like, God, why? I'm telling my brain, I feel like is telling me the thing to do that. And then I'll go to the other side and be like, did I just forget how to do that? And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, no, that's what I'm like, oh, it's really easy. That's not hard at all. And then I'm like, wow. So that's where I'm at. That's probably way more than enough about that, but that's where I'm at on it.
All right. Well,
it's brutal, but it's my life.
So when do you think the crutches go away? Is that in the next month?
I test that constantly because I desperately want to get rid of the crutches, and I don't know. Like, it's gonna be a little.
It's been a while.
I think it's gonna be a little while yet, but unless it just maybe because I'm doing my physical therapy exercise three times a day too, and maybe I am just gonna turn a corner here quickly. I'm hoping by like the next time we record that I'm not like dependent on maybe I have to use them at times and stuff, but
so you're still hoping
not,
like by Crew Falls that you're not going to be on crutches? Is that?
Oh, I won't be on crutches by Crew Falls. Yeah, definitely not. No, I think by Crew Falls, for the most part, people will see me walking around and not, you know, I will hope someone doesn't do the thing to me where like they walk up behind you or jump on your back, or like, you know, when you like kick someone's back behind their knee so they buckle over. That is like my worst fear in the world right now. If someone came up and did that to me,
that would not be good. That would not be good.
I've thought about that before though. I'm like, if somebody did that like a few weeks from now, not that anyone's done that to me for like 25 years, but
now that I've been an adult.
Yeah. But like, wouldn't like high school buddies do that to you and
all
stuff?
the time,
like, you know,
yeah, always.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, no, by Crew Falls, I think, I should be squatting 600 again. No problem.
Perfect. Good.
That might be an exaggeration, but you know, how's your knees? Better than that?
My knees are just dandy.
It seemed like, well, your knees are really good. Your knees are looking strong.
They're feeling strong too.
Because what was your squat set? 385 for?
I did 385 for a top set of 8 yesterday.
Yeah.
At Juggernaut. And
then what did you rate that?
I mean, it was supposed to be a 10. And if there's one thing I learned during my last meet prep, it's not even besides, on everything, I just don't go aggressive enough. And part of it is because it is getting used to training in a home gym. You know, when you always have spotters around, you feel like you can send a little more. But I did learn the last prep that I just need to send it a little more when I'm at home. And I actually went higher than the prescribed number for Juggernaut. I hardly ever tell it to go more aggressive. And I did that day, and it jumped at almost 15 pounds on me, or it did jump like 15 pounds on me. And still probably could have went I probably could have done 395 to 400 for a set of 8, I think.
Right. And were you saying that you think 405 for a set of 8 is the most you've ever done before?
For a set of 8, that is the most I've ever done. And to be fair, so that was around the time I could squat 550-ish. It was somewhere in that ballpark. To be fair, at that time, never trained for never squatted for volume ever. The most ever would do a set of was 5. So my conditioning as far as that goes was poor. Like if you want,
but you weren't regularly testing a set of 8. that wasn't coming up like an RP 10 set of 8.
Yeah,
squat.
like I'd only really ever tried that once. And like I remember when I was doing it, the first 5 just flew, and I just hit a wall hard on like the last 2 because I just didn't have that conditioning to do that.
Right.
But God, I forgot because I'd been sick and I'd been rating my numbers lower in Juggernaut the last couple of weeks. It had been taking away like a set from me. So I'd only done like a top set and 2 extra sets 2 weeks ago, a top set and 3 extra sets last week. And now this one, a top set at 385 and then 4 back downs at 325. God, that's 40 reps. By the end of those 40 reps, man, I was feeling
Gassed.
it. That's a lot of work right there.
Like were you just physically tired?
I was
like
just really tired.
point?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was able to finish.
Not necessarily. It wasn't like your quads.
No, my
legs
legs actually feel pretty damn good today. But it was just like that is fatiguing to just go through that much. You know, like my back actually felt like I just, trying to keep tight that long, just like the strength in my upper back is even feeling like it was out of it. But we made it through.
Juggernaut AI for the win, all right?
That's right.
Okay. Should we get to some of these questions?
Let's do it.
Or what, do you got a can over there, though? Or
I actually just
what's
have
your can situation?
Just have a water, actually, at the moment.
Okay. I do have something. Shout out. I've got a black cherry Waterloo. This was courtesy of Big Anthony. He hand-picked up his order, so he was the first to actually get his order from the new drop. And he brought me a case of a Get Well Waterloos. But I forgot to put it in the fridge. So what I'm going to do...
Better. Piping hot.
Let's put it in this ice cup, this silly pint. Heavy lager Massenomics silly pint, as a matter of fact.
That good.
Does pouring sparkling water into a cup of ice degrade the bubbles at all?
I actually think sparkling water is better out of a can. If I had to decide.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm wondering.
I think it still is refreshing out of a glass with water, but I do think it is best served fresh from
right out of the can. No, I think that makes sense. So thank you to Big Anthony for this week's can. The black cherry is a 4. It's always one of my favorites. It's cherry of some sort. Last week's can, the one you had, was the green liquid death, like the lime or whatever.
Yes.
That was from Big Jen from the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic.
Okay.
And transitioning, I don't know if you have this handy, but she also gave us this. Did I give you one of these when I dropped off all those cans too?
When I see what's in it, maybe I'll remember.
There was I ate one of the things when me and Jack were packing orders.
The beef stick and the
Yes. So I haven't eaten this beef stick yet
I was saving those but I was saving them and I'm like, why am I saving these? Where did these come from? I couldn't even remember.
Yeah, it was that and then a Cliff Bar.
Yes. Okay, yes. The Cliff Bar, yeah, my kids got into that Cliff Bar in like a second. That did not last long around my house, but
I ate the Cliff Bar packing orders this weekend.
Okay, well now I know I can eat that beef stick. It's been sitting there, and I just had totally lost any memory for why I had that thing.
Yeah, it seems like a really good beef stick.
It did. It looked
maybe I'll try it a little later.
Premium.
Here too. It's 100% grass-fed bison. I think it's from our friend Big Seth in Canada.
Yeah.
So that's a little can update on what we had there. Okay. Here's a bunch of our questions, our topics and stuff for this week. Some will go very short on, some will go longer. Big Nivea for the Soul said programming after 2 years off.
Oh.
What would you do? Here would be my advice. I would just do something what I do. I've never taken 2 years off, but I have, I'd relate it to maybe injuries coming back from that. Mm-hmm. I would do a really simple linear progression for at least I don't know, it depends on how much progress you keep making, but I would just pick a weight and a rep scheme for each of the big lifts that you do. If you're a squat, bench, deadlift kind of guy, what I would do is I'm going to squat once a week and do like a 5x5. I'm going to bench once a week, do a 5x5, and I'm going to deadlift once a week and do a 3x5. And I would just move those up 5 to 10 pounds per week. For as long as you can still do that, it's okay for it to start to get challenging at the end. But I would stop that before you get to the point where you're failing.
Yes, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, that's kind of what I did last year coming back from some back injury is I just took it way down and I think volume. I mean, not that 5x5 is huge volume, but that is some decent volume, and that is your friend. Just get some quality volume in at
get some reps in.
Some lesser weights, and just take your time building that up. And
this is in particular people that have lifted before and like know what they're doing, at least to some extent.
And this,
I think this
also
really
the
applies
2 years
to,
off
you know?
was were you lifting for 6 months and took 2 years off, or
right?
had you been lifting
or
for
we
a
lifted
few
for
years?
6 years and took, you kind of know your stuff. If you're someone that knows your stuff, do that. You can go by feel a little bit, and then eventually, once it feels good, get on programming like Juggernaut AI. Honestly, like you don't have to get on Juggernaut AI, but as long as I could pitch it.
And if you were a person that had been lifting for a while and you took some time off, 2 years is a lot, but you will be shocked how fast it will start to come back once you get going. Like it almost feels like a cheat code how fast things can come back.
Right. Tommy, did you do, this is from Best Wrong Dad. Since you're a big garage gym guy now, did you get in on the garage gym competition?
Actually, I totally spaced it out. I saw all these people doing it, and I still in my brain don't think that applies to me. Like I don't identify as that, having that option in my head until Scott Dodds called me out
programming after 2 years, maybe not a title topic, but just in case.
Well, if we would have thought about it ahead of time, maybe we could.
Yeah. Okay.
But Scott Dodds called me out on my post, and I'm like, God, maybe I should get involved in that. So I got to check out what the deadlines are here. But yeah, probably not a bad idea.
Because I'm guessing even like that squat, like you could put that at.
I think you can put like anything in it, can't you?
I think so for the most part.
Yeah.
Big Garrett says, anything new coming to Tommy's home gym or Massenomics gym? Any new equipment? Got the lat pull down, obviously.
At this moment, no, nothing new. I got the lat pull down. I'm just so jacked on the lat pull down right now that that kind of is the new for me. It might get some like minor attachments, like things like that.
I saw you're doing some different stuff with it too,
dude. I'm telling you, and I was messing around. First of all, I do love the Spud Ink long ab strap. I think that thing is so awesome. It's big enough.
Spud-inkstraps.com.
They are incorporated, so that tells you a lot right there. But dude, I got that thing because I don't know where I even saw. I think I talked about that. I think Dr. Seth, what's his last name?
Albersworth.
I was going to say Albertson. Albersworth.
Yeah.
I think he had a video talking
Samsonite. We were way off.
Yeah. He had a video talking about doing like crunches or whatever you do with the long ab strap. And I thought, that seems like a more fun way to do some ab exercises. And then I think it was in the Juji video he had with Coop on Garage Gym Reviews. I believe he talked about using the Spud Ink long ab strap, that he liked it for tricep work because of how much room you have to work with. You can really, really work it.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, it seems like a pretty versatile piece. I'll get that. And man, I have loved that thing so much for triceps. It's great. Actually, you can do, I've seen Dr. Mike have a bunch of videos about this. Have you seen his like lat pull down where you kind of at a 45-degree angle standing with it instead of being straight, in a normal lat pull down, you relax with your arms straight above you and it doesn't really give you that tension.
Right.
Whereas if you stand up and keep the bar in front of you a little bit at like a 45-degree angle, even when you're fully extended, you still are under tension that way.
Okay.
And you can kind of do lat pull downs like that with this too. Like, then I was looking at it and I'm thinking, God, maybe I could rig this up to do some leg curls with it through the low row on my lat pull down. And dude, I'm telling you, man, I only had it on the 45-pound weight. And by the time I was getting past rep 10, I was trying to go to 15. My hammies were feeling it so hard. So it definitely works. Like it's, I'm excited for it. Yeah, it is an awesome attachment to have.
Feels like the lat pull down's kind of already paid for itself. Dude, it's already paying back dividends.
It is. It's so nice, man. It's so like now that I got it all painted and I just got it looking like $1 million. And then I don't know if you saw, My brother in town here has a 3D printer.
I wondered who made that.
Yeah, he has a 3D printer. He had told me this a couple weeks ago when I saw him. He's like, yeah, I got a 3D printer. And for his job, he's a machinist at a factory here, so he knows how a lot of that stuff works. And so I sent him I was like, hey, can you make this like a Massenomics nameplate, a Massenomics badge for me? And he goes, yeah, but send over whatever you got. And so I sent over just the Massenomics stencil logo file.
Yep.
At the size that I needed, and he printed it off, and yeah, it damn near looks like the machine came from the factory. Like
what'd you use to adhere it?
I just got some double stick tape and just put it on there because it weighs like nothing. Just a piece of plastic.
Right. That's what I figured. That looks sweet. That is a nice touch to it too.
Yeah, it looks super. I was at first gonna just have one of the companies here in town just make me a decal to put on there because our decals are white, and well, this is a white machine, so ours wouldn't work.
Right.
So I'm like, well, they'll just make a one-off decal for me. I'm like, you know what looks cooler than just a decal? An actual printed, cut out badge like that.
That does look sweet.
Yeah.
If this is from Big Jake the Snake, if Grant never made plates, what would be the go-to plates of Massenomics Gym?
Ooh, wow.
It'd be the York milled 45. Like that's what they. I probably would have just dug up more of those over the years.
I'm trying to think of if I was starting my gym then, like what I would have gotten, because that's a little more work tracking those down,
Yeah.
So what would I have got? Would I even have a preference?
Like if the answer is like new plates,
would I have done that, or would I have been more of the mentality of like, weight is weight, whatever, and just found, I don't know that is a very interesting question. I'm not sure what I would have done.
At Massenomics Gym, it couldn't have been the Rogue deep dish. It's just you can't fit enough plates on there.
No.
Like it would be a hit. It'd be a
They're kind of annoying
for
too.
some of the big lifters there too. Yeah. Big Jake says he just says next content trip ? I guess it would be what is the next content trip? Well, to some degree it's Crew Falls actually.
Yeah. I mean, yes, that is technically the next thing that involves content with other people. A lot of people are making a trip. I don't necessarily have to make a trip, but a lot of people will be making a trip there.
Right.
But we actually have bounced around several ideas already for what would be next. And we are hitting a time of year that just starts to get really busy again between Crew Falls. And then you have a pretty short turnover to the Arnold again. So does something happen between Crew Falls and the Arnold? We're not for sure yet. But then definitely, after the Arnold next year, something would happen if it doesn't already.
And we've got some spots on the map marked that are big flying trips, similar to our South Carolina or Ohio trips, that sort of thing. But we also have some marked that I wouldn't say they're local, but I wouldn't, they're somewhere in between where it's like a driving distance sort of trip. That we've got a few of those that might come up in there in the midst when and if we're able to. So we have several plans on that. It's just what happens first, we don't really know yet. Big Jake says you get to train one lift with a pro strongman, old or current. Who is it, and what is the lift?
This question's a little tougher for me because I don't really train strongman. So I'm kind of just not good at any of them. So it's harder for me to say like, oh, this is definitely what I would do. Part of me says I'd just pick someone who's really good at deadlifting and do that. But also something about the way a strongman deadlifts. I mean, clearly they know what they're doing, but their body and leverages are so different than everyone else in the world that I don't know how much of their technique advice would really carry over to the everyman. That's probably what I'd still go with though. Maybe I'd want to have a deadlift session with Brian Shaw.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Atlas Stones with Brian Shaw would be one of my choices. My other choice, which I think I might actually go with though ahead of this, I like Atlas Stones because if I want to pick like a cool event, that's the cool strongman event I want to go do with Brian Shaw. That's just really fun and cool in Atlas Stones. The more boring event, it's what you're saying. It's it's the deadlift, but what I think I would pick is John Paul Sigmarsson, and I would do the deadlift with John Paul. He's dead. He died young. So that adds to a cool
Deadlift
factor
knew
of
the
the
dead guy is.
And he is the guy that famously said, "There's no reason to be alive if you can't do deadlift." And since I've been making these old strongman videos, the amount of John Paul clips that I've come across that I knew he was a badass, but I'm like, oh, now this guy was freaking fun and cool. This guy was wild.
Yeah.
Actually, like after having watched a lot of those clips, I'm like, he wouldn't have been on my Mount Rushmore of strongmen before, but anymore, I'm like, I don't think I could not put him on the Mount Rushmore at this point because, I've become more and more of a John Paul fan. So I think I would pick the deadlift with him. It's like just to like experience his crazy hype and yelling and like pretending he has a sword and slashing things down and pretty cool. From Fang Warren. Okay, this is interesting. Well, get your take. I know it's not either. Obviously, it's neither, but kind of fun to think on. Would you consider Massenomics Gym more of a home gym or a commercial gym? Which one is it more, a home gym or a commercial gym?
So I would say my thought process on this has changed somewhat recently even. Because for years, if you ask me, because it was just such a homegrown thing. Actually, I don't think people get how, like we've talked about it before, but just how simple. Most people that I know that have a home gym, their home gym is more kitted out than what the first version of Massenomics Gym was.
Oh, by far.
There's just, it was, actually most people's home gyms are bigger than what the first Massenomics Gym was.
Yeah.
So because to me, like in my mind, being there from day one, it's like, well, no, this is just like 8 of us in a room with a dirt floor in a basement.
We just put a home gym together for all of us because
and it wasn't even like a nice home gym by any means either. It was a homemade bench. These were items you acquired. You didn't make them, but it was a homemade bench,
right?
Kind of a homemade half rack.
Yeah.
And there was dumbbells and a homemade deadlift platform. And that was the only machine was the lat pull down, right? Which was probably 30 years old, 40 years old.
It was old, yeah.
It's the one we still have right now, right? It's that same one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
And that was the only machine. So that mentality for me stuck forever, really until like when I started setting up my home gym, we started doing a lot more content in the last year where we started talking about it like, well, actually really with my gym, we really do have an actual home gym angle. Like, actually, it does feel way different now. Like, well, no.
Right.
That is a home gym. Where Massenomics Gym, it's not a commercial gym, but most people looking at it would be like, this is a commercial gym, from the outside looking in.
From the outside looking in, it doesn't, that's like, this place doesn't feel like a home gym. Like to me, I'm the same way as you. To us in our head, we'll be like, oh, it's basically like a home gym, right? But then like people are outside back. Dude, you have like $100,000 of equipment here and like 4,500 square foot of space. And, it's
and
not a
that
home
never,
gym.
That we were like talking one day and that never dawned on me until like we both said it out loud. And I think we were like, oh, actually, yeah, the perception of what's going on here is different than what our mind's perception is.
Right. It is tricky. If I had to say which one, if I'm just like short answer, which one is it more of? In the beginning, it was definitely more of a home gym than it was a commercial gym. It was not even close to a commercial gym, but maybe the longer time goes on, maybe it is closer to a commercial, even though that's not what I want to believe. I want to think it's more of a home gym, but it might be more of a commercial
also,
gym.
the word commercial gym is kind of weird, though, because there's a ton of like gyms that I would consider like powerlifting gyms, and I wouldn't say that's a commercial gym, which I guess technically they probably are, but commercial gym always just feels like that's just the place where someone needs a gym. It was close to them. That's the one they picked. That's a commercial gym, not a gym you go specifically out of your way to go to for very specific reasons. That feels, and then also when we're talking about a very specific, subsection of what strength training can be. It's a boutique gym. There we go.
Yeah. Some I'm not going to cover now. Maybe we'll save for later when we got more time, just because there's quite a few, so I don't think we'll be able to get to them all. So any update on TV shows you've been watching? This is from Unpaid and Underrated.
Actually, I put a note in our list about this. Tanner, you talked about this probably a while ago, maybe a year ago or more now. I watched some SNL
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Little more than a week. Little more than a week.
Yeah.
But you brought up SNL on the show a little while ago.
Yep.
And I watched several episodes of it this past weekend.
Yep.
And dude, I was like surprised. It was way better. I think I've been victim of reading online comments of everyone who's, oh, you can't do comedy anymore.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's woke. It's dumb. I'm like, dude, like, oh, all the jokes are all PC and shitty, and maybe this is just like dumb troll comments I'm coming across too much.
Right.
I'm like, dude, one of them was a Lonely Island skit about trying to make a restaurant that has glory holes where they feed you food through it. Like, that's pretty out there as far as SNL goes. Another one is like a guy dies at the top of a water slide, and they're trying to decide if they're going to push him down the slide while he's dead or not. Like these are all topics that are not like exactly family friendly topics. Right. And I thought they were hilarious. Like so many of the jokes and premises, I'm like, these are just as good as I remember when I was watching Saturday Night Live like every weekend. Right. If you could have put me back in time, I'd be like, yep, any one of these jokes belong in like the Andy Samberg era, or a lot of them to me don't even fit like in the Will Ferrell era. Like when I first started watching it, like some of these are beyond way less family friendly than what some of that stuff was. Right. And I'm like, oh, I think people just like to hate on it because it's popular to hate on it now. And I even thought that for a while without me watching any. And I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really good.
I haven't been watching it at all, but I keep, my biggest thing is I just forget we have 3 TVs and 70 different things you log into, and half of them are only then I go to use it. I'm like, I don't know the password, and I don't even remember where to get to set in it. Like, I'm like, I can't remember what it's on even, and like that's a real thing that I'll be like, okay, I'm just not even going to watch TV. That's actually what happens. I mean, that's with a lot of TV nowadays is like, where the hell is that thing even at? Yeah. I just, over this road to recovery, I've even realized more. I'm like, I don't even like watching TV, especially when it's like the only thing I can do. I hate it that I'm like, I don't want to watch TV. Like I'd rather do so many other things than this. It becomes blatantly obvious to me when I am really limited of my choices of things to do. Mm-hmm. So I've done some looking, and I'm like, this is not a TV show. I started to watch 1989, the movie Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nick. Who plays the Joker? Jack
Nicholson, isn't it?
Yeah, Jack Nicholson plays the Joker, and that movie should be good with the cast.
Yeah, but don't they try to take? I probably haven't seen it since I was in like 3rd grade. Don't they try to sort of be funny, but it doesn't totally come off that way? Or like they're trying to be serious actually?
It's not. It's directed by it's like a Tim who did Edward Scissorhands, and
isn't that Tim Burton?
Tim Burton. Yeah, it's a Tim Burton movie. And like, but it's so freaking dated that I was like, because I was like, yeah, Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, and Joaquin Phoenix. I'm like, that's 3 pretty epic Jokers. And I was like, who's the best Joker? And I'm like, I'm going to watch this, and then I'll be able to have my opinion. And I'm like, this Joker is terrible. I'm like, I thought he was good in this, but I'm like, it's just so dated and shitty to me that I'm like, this is awful. If I try to compare that to The Dark Knight, I'm like,
right. Oh, it's not even the same thing. But I think it's pretty agreed upon that is like not a good Batman movie, though, isn't it?
Okay, I don't know. I'm like, it feels like the recipe for everything of that should be good, but I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah, I guess I'm also not up. Don't listen to anything I said.
Because it's like the George Clooney. Because like the George Clooney ones and stuff, I think those are the ones that people are like, those, and like Mr. Freeze with Arnold and that stuff, like that those are kind of, But this one, I thought
maybe it is. Then I don't keep up on my superhero stuff enough.
But I was just like, that was not good. But the one show I've watched through this though that is good is The Penguin. Also, really? Batman theme is
that's
on
like
HBO.
In the last year or two, isn't it?
It's new right now. There's like a new episode every Sunday right now.
Oh, it is. Okay.
And that's good. That's all I have to add on TV shows. Batman from 1989, not good. The Penguin, now good. From Ginger Chatham incorporating Strongman into a home gym for those without a lot of space for specific tools.
So what is the best way to get your Strongman workout programming in on a limited space / budget / resources?
I got one idea that you actually have this. I'm like, buy a sandbag.
That's what I was going to say. Sandbags are really easy because you
get
can
a sandbag. You can do carries, loads.
And as far as storing them, like Atlas stones, just no matter what, take up a lot of room. Sandbags take up room too, but you can kind of throw them in a pile together. You know, they don't all need their own footprint. And yes,
pretty
like
cheap
you said,
too.
you can use them for
adjust
loading.
the weight technically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, and they're cheap. You know, they are, as far as equipment goes, they really do not cost that much. So I think sandbags would be a great one. I don't know. What do you think, Tanner, after that? You're more the strongman guy than me.
Oh, I guess I would also say is most of the stuff you don't even really need special equipment anyways.
No,
you know, you
deadlift,
just do your,
just deadlift.
Yeah, do your deadlift, do your squats, maybe you do front squats.
Like maybe instead of a log,
overhead
you just
press,
work
you need a
overhead
barbell.
presses with,
That's what I'm like. For the most part, if you're especially just getting into it, you know, you can work your deadlift, work your front squats, back squats,
and like
work
all
your
your
overhead
carries,
press.
like there's a lot of creative ways to do carries.
You can get really cheap farmer's handle, you know, so you could have a sandbag, a really cheap, small, compact pair of farmer's handles that you could load. And I mean, really, you don't need to have any, you know, it just depends on how much of that at a certain point, you just make the decision, do I want to buy the log?
Right. Like
or am I okay
if this is
you
more
know,
than a casual hobby, then at a certain point you will just dump more into it. But
right.
Yeah, a lot of
you
that
can get
stuff
by
is,
without it, especially when you're more novice or newer to it.
Right. You just get used to just having heavy things on you and throwing heavy things around, and that'll get
the
you.
First multiple strongman shows competitions that I ever competed in, we never did any of the things.
No,
like we went to the show and it was literally the first time we've done all of the 5 things that they had you do. Like, and I didn't think twice about that. I was just like, and even just then when I didn't know any better, the mentality, like my thought was like, well, if you're strong, you can probably do that stuff, right?
Yes,
like,
and that is the thing at the end of the day is like, I mean, you can train the events all you want, but if a guy comes in and just really strong, chances are he's going to be pretty decent.
Yes. Will there ever be a low bar shirt in contrast to the high bar shirt?
I've not thought of that, but I like the outside the box thinking there. Maybe
I don't know if there's as many double entendres.
Yeah,
with that
it's as if there's some deeper meaning we can find on that, but
right.
Never say never.
From the Sam Bob, he says, "Ooh, the Jeff Nippard drama for sure." I don't really have much to add on that.
I haven't kept up on anything there. Is there more? I don't know.
I guess there was more video that came out, like more security footage. It didn't really change. I mean, there was like, you could see on the slightly longer video, you can't tell what was being said, but there was slightly more of there was seconds more of an interaction there. And I guess like there's people that would say that Jeff Nippert somehow instigated it more, which I honestly don't have a horse or dog or anything in the fight. So I don't even want to sound like I'm taking a side in particular, but I'm just like, to me, it still looks like he pretty much just, a dude was there and he choke slammed him. It wasn't like
at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, unless he's just saying some just absolutely filthy, vile stuff. Like,
yeah. So yeah, I guess I don't have no change in opinion because I don't really know any of the particulars anyways. So
me either.
Advice for someone who has never competed and how to get into competing. And this is from Big Patrick Fire. Well, my advice would be just go ahead and get signed up.
You just do
for
it.
A competition. Yeah. Especially powerlifting, even strongman for that matter. But like with powerlifting, just get signed up and your training will get better. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just because of the fact that you're going to be hyper focused on it because you signed up for something, your training's probably going to get better, honestly. Even if you don't do smarter training, you're going to get stronger just because
there's a sense of urgency. There's a deadline looming.
Right.
And we've talked about this several times. I'll use this just for easy numbers. Let's say you think your total's 1,000 and you don't want to compete until your total's 1,100. I can tell you right now, no one cares. And no one there will be paying attention like, oh, that guy only totaled 1,000 and not 1,100. Like no one else is paying attention to your total besides you. And then after you do a few of them, you'll realize like, yeah, you don't even really pay attention to your total that much anymore. Like you forget the ones you had before. And so just do it. It's nothing else makes your training go good, like signing up for a meet. And also don't take yourself too seriously. Like it's not the end of the world if you go and not have the best meet, or like if prep is going to start to suck. If you're doing it right, it is going to start to suck the last month and you might be second guessing everything. That's just part of the process. Just go with it, man. And it'll be there. It'll be there on one day.
Yeah. The next one you do will like be better just by default, just from going through it once.
Yes.
And like kind of learning the experience. Okay. Supporting our supporting members is a relatively new segment to the Massenomics podcast where we give back to those that have chosen
ones
to support us. Yep. So we choose to support back to them each week. And I've got a few things going on that I picked up on this week. The New York Rochester crew was all together at a Static Monsters competition. It looks like Big Keith, Big Chris Mark, Big Dan were all competing there. And Big Lucas was, I think, spotting and loading. I don't think he was competing, but he was there with them. They all got a picture together. That was cool. Like Keith hit a log PR 200 pounds. Chris hit a log PR of 240. Then Big Jordan also competed in a different Static Monsters where he did a 800-pound 18-inch axle and a 312-pound log press.
Jeez.
Big Kevin from NASA competed in his first ever Strongman show, getting first place in his novice class.
Very good.
So congrats, Kevin. He took that one to the moon and back. Big Tyler Thompson, of course, won another thing. He went 5 for 5 in event wins with a 380-pound axle press.
Wow.
Big Garrett and Big Sydney, both supporting members, got engaged.
Woo.
Yeah. So the
Impending
crew,
funeral.
again, matchmaking again.
Yep. Both of them had never met each other until a week ago.
Yeah. And they met each other through the crew, and now they're engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And you did say impending funeral?
Yep.
Just to be clear. Okay. Big Tom Swartz Sports, competed powerlifting meet, knocked it out of the park. He went 9 for 9, a meet PR, home run day, dingers all around, a 1564 total, and best lifter. No surprise out of Big Tom, Minnesota Department of Lifter Safety. Then also Big Lucas, mentioned earlier, was the guest this week on Unpaid and Underrated. So thank you to all of our supporting members. You too can become a supporting member by heading over to massenomics.com/join. Signing up, we have several different options. Price options for just about anyone, as long as your budget is more than $0.
Did we say last week that Big Grant hit a family PR? Was that on the list
Yes.
already? Okay.
Yep, we did do that one last week.
Oh,
but shout out again also on the
weeks
family
almost
PR for Big Grant.
kind of start to feel the same.
It's all the same to me. Yeah, it's all the same to me. Speaking of Big Grant, though, head over to thestrength.co. That's their website. He owns the Strength Co. He sells the plates. Referring back to our earlier questions, thank God the Strength Co. plates do exist, so they can be the go-to plates of Massenomics
I'd
Gym.
hate to have to be starting a gym and think, what am I going to outfit my gym with if the Strength Co. plates didn't exist?
Thank God that's a hypothetical question. At Massenomics Gym, we call them the go-to plates. In South Carolina, they just call those plates. And you too can call them plates if you head over to strength.co and buy yourself some of their made-in-America Olympic iron, black E-coated, smooth, easy-to-grip plates. The best there ever has been, the best there ever was, whatever that saying is, that's what they are, the best plates that exist. You can also sign up for their turkey pull if you click on their apparel and more button on their site. Then the first thing you go to is their turkey pull registration. You can still get signed up for that. You can compete it in person if you're in Southern California, or you can just compete online. All you got to do is you buy the shirt and then you submit the lift via Instagram within the window and use the hashtag. I think it's turkey pull, and all the money from that goes to, what does it go to? What's the organization? The Semper Fi and America's Fund. The proceeds from the event will be donated to that. I've heard Grant talk about it. It's a good thing for veterans. Check it out, strength.co.
And this episode is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Right now, if you head on over to texaspowerbars.com and click on the Blemished Bars button, it'll take you over to a page where they're having a hot sale on a lot of their blemished bars. Bars like the original Texas Power Bar is $80 off. That's right, $80 off the original Texas Power Bar. You can even get the 29 millimeter Texas Power Bar in a looks like bare steel or a Cerakote shaft, and both of those are about $70 off as well. They also have some Texas squat bars, Texas bench bars, and some other bars in a variety of coatings and styles. So head on over to TexasPowerBars.com and take advantage of that savings. Get a new bar for your gym. You will not regret it. Thank you, Texas Power Bars.
I haven't been back in Massenomics gym yet, other than to drop a couple orders off. I haven't been back to lift yet. Mostly, I probably would lift, but I literally can't load the bar or move any weights around. Like if someone loaded the bar for me, I could lay down and bench, but I can't like physically get the plates on the bar as of yet. So, but where I have been is back to the commercial gym. So I've got another commercial gym story again this week.
Hit me with it.
Because I took my daughter to basketball practice again the other night. So I was hobbling around there up on my crutches, watching basketball practice, and then also taking in the local sites again. And more of a positive note this week, I did see this one guy. There was a diamond in the rough. I saw this one guy, and I wouldn't say he wasn't particularly big, didn't look particularly strong, but I hobbled by once, and I looked, I'm like, something seems different about this guy. I assessed the situation, and I'm like, okay, he's over in one of the squat racks. He's benching in there. He's got an A7 bar grip shirt on. He's wearing Adidas lifting shoes, with a heel. And he had chalk with him, and he's a little bit of chalk that I saw he's applying to himself before he's doing a set of bench. And he wasn't benching very much weight, but that wasn't the note, but I could just tell. And then I watched him bench, and I'm like, there again, it's not about the weight, because the weight was an amount of weight that you'd be like that, there's, a lot of people that bench a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Right. But like, it was just the act of what he was doing. I'm like, this guy might know what he's doing. Like, I'm actually there seems like something's going on here. So
totally clueless.
No, in between sets, I stopped him and I said, hey, do you power lift? He's like, well, I don't really power lift, but I do the lifts and stuff. And I said, yeah, I noticed your A7 shirt and your shoes and your chalk and stuff there. And like the way you were benching, it just seems like you know what you're doing. And he was really nice, and he was cool. And he's like, yeah, I think he was taken slightly off guard, that he probably doesn't get, I mean, he was benching like less than a plate, like for, like people, an average gym goer wouldn't look at him and think that he knows what he's doing.
They need to talk to this guy about what's going on.
But an experienced gym goer might look at him and think he knows what he's doing just because of the other parts of the situation, and I said, and he said, someone does my training online. I have an online coach that does my training. And my first thought is, I said, oh, really? Where are they from? And I'm just trying to get at like, I don't know. There's probably a decent chance we like, who are you paying to train you on the lifts?
Yeah, like, if it's someone in the powerlifting world of any notoriety, we would know who they are. Yeah,
right. Or I said, where are they from? And he's like, well, it's this thing called Barbell Logic. And I'm like, yes, we know Barbell Logic. We've had Matt Reynolds. We have a little podcast, and we've had Matt Reynolds on before, and I mentioned Rip and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, cool. He never really asked any follow-up questions or anything. But
well, he might not even know those people's names though. Like
he might not actually
Googled some stuff. That's what I find. A lot of times people Google something and they're like, yeah, I'll go with this, and they don't know the story, which is fine, but they don't know the people who are behind the stuff.
I'm not really sure that he did, but I just thought it was interesting that he, I could, and that when it turns out, yes, he is being trained, but by a group of people that do know how to lift, that are aware of proper lifting and that sort of thing.
Funny.
So I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, and you said, all right, well, buddy, don't get used to this. No one will ever ask you about your training again while you're here.
Yeah, I did just leave it on like, awesome. And I was like, good luck. Keep on lifting.
I really thought you were going to say, and he is now signed up for Massenomics Gym. I really thought that was going to be the next step.
I thought about saying, you really should be coming and lifting with us. And I'm like, maybe if I run into this guy again sometime, I'll bring that up on the second conversation. Because that was my thought. I was like, honestly, dude, you should come lift at Massenomics Gym. You know, I'd be doing you a favor by. I'm sure you don't know about it.
You'd like this way more, and it would probably make your training progress faster than you could ever imagine.
Yes. So if I run into that guy again, I will probably bring that up. That's my commercial gym story. Current politics of the gym. Can Big Caden beat Larry Legend in a fight? That's the age-old question, isn't it?
I don't know what's going on there. You got to bring me up to speed here. How are we sitting?
I don't know.
Does Caden get down there regularly?
Well, that is usually the source of those two's bickering, is arguing over who. Each of them saying that the other one isn't training as hard as they are. So that's usually the source of their friendly camaraderie, is saying that the other guy isn't there as much as they should be, or isn't. If they are there, isn't. Yeah, if the other guy is there, that they're dicking around when they're there. So I think they're just going to have to duke it out to find it out. I think there was even matchup. This last weekend, Anthony might have, or someone was talking about it, that there was like a gauntlet thrown down that they might have had to have a squat off right there then and there to see who could squat more. So,
damn.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to do a squat off against Larry.
Caden, I think, seemed to think that he'd beat him. So I don't know.
I mean, until you're throwing the dirt on Larry, he's going to keep going.
He's the classic. If he can't get it up for just one more set, you might as well throw the dirt on him now.
That's right.
Favorite pro wrestler of all time? Do you have one?
Like I wasn't like a super huge wrestling fan as a kid. I mean, I watched it, but I wasn't like watching it every week. We've talked about this before too. From a spectator standpoint, I always like the guys that were like flipping and flying around and doing crazy stuff like that. But then I also
Rey
liked
Mysterio Jr.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I liked him and like Rob Van Dam and the Hardy Boys, stuff like that. But from a theatric standpoint, I also always really liked The Undertaker. You know, he was this big, scary guy and really imposing, and he kind of always had this character to him. And then, of course, you know, Stone Cold's up there as far as just overall everything. So one of those guys would be for sure up there for me. Actually, I did get into wrestling again when I was in middle school, and at the time I did really like Triple H just because he was the man for a while. But that'd be it there.
In hindsight, for me, it's Stone Cold. That's what I want to say, but at the time, that's not really true because I wasn't really watching WWF. I was watching WCW more, so it's not fair to me to say that it was Stone Cold. But the more I see about that, I'm like, of course I like everything about this guy. Like, this would be the guy, you know. But I really was watching more WCW, in which case I don't know who I would say the guy is, though. Like, I don't know. I like Goldberg.
Yeah, I mean, everyone liked Goldberg. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I was probably about fifth grade when it felt like Goldberg was like really hitting his prime and everyone just loved him. But that's all I got. I of course was aware of wrestling and watched some wrestling and stuff, but I wasn't like D-Generation X. I mean, every kid from like 4th to 6th grade just told everyone to suck it all the time. That was the battle cry of a generation.
Yes, that's exactly right. Tell me if we've done this one before. If we have, we'll skip it. Mount Rushmore of Massenomics lore. All right, we'll just.
I don't
do
think we have.
Then.
We've done probably variations of this, but
all right, we're gonna pick 4. It's obvious lift shorts. We both would say lift shorts.
That was the first one on the list.
At this point, Brian has to be on it, doesn't it?
That's up there too. Yeah.
Okay, lift shorts and Brian are 2 locks to me in my eyes. You know, I don't know if we get definitive all 4 answers or not, but like those 2 are obvious. Like nobody's Mount Rushmore should like almost not include those 2 things, I think.
Yeah. I think the lift shorts are 100% on. Brian's like a 95 to 98% on. Yeah. There might be something better, but it'd have to be something I'm really missing to replace that. But the next 2, what would the next 2 be?
Depends on what you consider lore too. Like, is this like Western, Northeast, South Dakota? Like that, is that so broad?
I know. Are we talking like, is there, and also depending on what level of fandom you're at, There's
Right.
things in the Discord that live in infamy forever that to other people would not even be a thing.
But that's why like lift shorts and then like Brian, like mostly everyone got that. Even like our casual fans on Instagram, like the Brian stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a brief period of throwaway culture. Remember that one?
Yeah, throwaway culture. I don't know if it's up there or not though.
There'd definitely be people that wouldn't even know what that is.
Don't buy our hats.
Yeah,
you know, that was a
that's
thing.
up there too.
But I wouldn't put it on the Mount Rushmore either, though. You know, but do you say like,
yeah, like Paul said, Aberdeen Magazine, that's part of the lore as well.
Right, right.
Yeah,
but of Massenomics lore, well, I'd also say just overrated, underrated. Like, do you consider that a lore thing?
That
because,
actually
like,
does.
Like, I would put that in the Mount Rushmore if you consider that lore. But I mean, I think we did it so much for so long that it almost is in there somewhere.
Yeah, it just doesn't
it's just
have
not quite
a
as
direct
goofy
storyline as some of those other pieces where you can clearly explain what's going on there.
Or like, what about just sparkling waters?
Yeah, I mean that's
drinking,
also that same thing of it's just been around for so long, but it's those are all four good ones though, for sure.
All right. I see you have this as a topic, so this is perfect. From Big Nate. Or wait, no, that one's next. First, mostly squat videos, Matt. He said, after having surgery, how do you fill the empty void that was filled by the gym? I guess I talked about this, and I have not found a way to be able to do that, to be perfectly honest. And that weighs on me mentally. I will be very excited, even when I'm able to just go to the gym, not even to be able to squat and deadlift, but just go to the gym and lay down and bench and do some arms and do some curls and stuff. I need that in my life for some physical benefit, but also just the mental benefit of like going to the gym. And I kind of have to do something that's challenging me, or else I feel like a piece of shit.
Oh God, dude,
it's like a thing that I have.
I know.
Like if I just sit around all day, I feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah. I know. You get the itch, like I'm just wasting my life away. Here we go.
I say that to my wife like 3 days after surgery, and she's like, you can't be that hard on yourself. You like you literally can't walk. Like, what do you expect? And I'm like, I know, but it's just the way I feel. Like I have not done anything since I was like, I don't know, 5, like for literally the last like 35 years. So I'm like just sitting around. But then it makes me think it's what you said. Some people, that is just their life too. And I'm like, I don't know. That's
forever. Yes.
That would be terrible for me mentally. So my answer is I have not filled the void, and I really won't until I'm able to start going back, because no other like non-physical hobbies can't fill the void for me. Like I can't I actually have tried reading, watching TV. Both of those do not, like, I can do those things. They do not at all fill that void for me though. Like, I don't know what other hobbies people, like I could sit around and like, take up 3D printing or.
Right. But all those though, like I would say maybe where some people get it, because none of those you're like, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but you're not like doing something, you're kind of just sitting and consuming,
It's passive.
Whereas like, because I was going to say is like some people have like, oh, I go work on my motorcycle or truck.
Right.
You're doing, like, it's not like hard physical labor, but you are doing something. So like
that would be a better example. Like working on the pickup could be interesting to me, but I also can't even do that.
Exactly.
Stuff
that doesn't work right now.
Like crocheting and knitting would be a type of thing I could do. And I'm like, obviously I don't do that. I'm just trying to even think, what is it that people even do when they just sit around?
Well,
I can take up like
games and just watch shows.
That's true. I guess that's my problem is I also don't play video games.
Yeah.
If you were into video games, they'd be loving this last week, because it's like if you're an adult and you're like, oh, can't go to work, can't do anything else, I am just going to play video games for like 12 hours.
Here we go.
Yeah, I guess actually that's probably what I should have. But then it's always like, I even think the same thing with just starting a show, that I'm like, I really can't commit. Like, what am I going to do? Watch 2 of these 70 episodes and then never watch it again? Like what? Like, I feel like that's a waste of time. It's like,
you could go 8 hours a day for a few days. Just really
that's true.
Give into it.
That's also what keeps me away from video games though, too, because it's so hard now. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like by the time I even understand how to play, there's
not a lot of casual video games anymore. It feels like like every video game has to be this like just intense thing that you have to dedicate tens, if not hundreds of hours to be good at. That's where it's just You know, there's not Mario. You can't just like sit down and play a few levels and have some fun and color quits.
Right.
You know, just getting the damn thing going takes 30 minutes. It feels like.
I did see for sale on Facebook Marketplace NBA Jam, like a stand-up arcade. You know, one of those giant arcade versions.
Was it actually an original like old one, or was it?
I don't think so. Okay. I think it's like a remade one, but it has like the spots for 4 people to play on that thing. Yeah, and I'm like, for whatever reason, I felt like I wanted that, but I'm like, I'm also smart enough to know, I'm like, by the time I played that for like 15 minutes, I'd be like, well, I'm never playing this again. And I think that's what happens to every person that's ever bought one of those.
I had my fun, yes.
Yeah. Like, you know, people have those like in their basement or their man cave.
It's almost just decoration more than anything.
That's what I think it is. Like, but I'm like, oh, that really looks fun, but I'm
or
like,
if you have a lot of people coming over for parties, everyone gets their 15 minutes of fun with it all the time. Though.
That's true. I guess that's when it actually is that's what it's actually for, probably. Your brother said, can you talk about the cooler? That's the cooler with a K.
The cooler? The world's only cooler within a cooler?
The world's only cooler within a cooler. Talk about old Massenomics lore.
The cooler. The world's only cooler within a cooler.
Well, it went extinct, as a matter of fact. It went tits up.
It is now defunct, yes. It is. Sadly.
It's now just coolers with C's. No more coolers with K's.
We probably talked about this a couple hundred episodes ago, but yeah, he did. For people that aren't aware, Stan Efferding had the cooler. The world's only cooler.
Some people might not even know about the Stan
Efferding
cooler.
Probably not. Yeah, he really made a splash promoting that thing for a little bit.
We talked about it a lot for a while.
Oh, we did. Yes, we did talk about the cooler a lot. He had booths at the.
It was the world's only cooler within a cooler.
That it's very novel. It's worth talking about. He had a booth at the Arnold with it. We actually interviewed him at his booth. He made an appearance on Shark Tank and also made a deal, I believe, with Damon on Shark Tank.
Damon John,
too.
right? Yeah.
And you could say things were on the up and up, but one day I think someone brought it to our attention that, have you heard much about the cooler lately? And then we looked at it, no, it's because the cooler does not exist.
Tommy, it's your time to shine. Big Nate, the technical guy, wants to know, we need new iPhone and Mac coverage.
Oh, well, Tanner, as of about 4 hours ago, got a new phone here.
Oh, let's see it.
Well, it looks kind of.
I guess I know what I'm doing this week.
So I will say this. All right. I was getting.
What do you got there? What is that thing called?
I got a 16
I have
Pro.
no idea what.
16 Pro.
16 Pro. Is that the newest iPhone?
That is the newest iPhone.
Is that the best one?
Unless you want the ginormous screen, which
what would that be called?
16 Pro Max.
Yeah, I don't like those. I'm just
wanting. That's a very, very, very large screen.
Yeah. So that's a 16 Pro. Okay.
16
that's
Pro.
New. How long has it been out?
Month and a half.
Okay. Pretty new.
Pretty new. This is what, I sold you on it the last time because I said, yeah, if you trade, they have this promotion. This was like when they kind of first started doing this. You can get like $800 off this $1,000 phone. It's only like $200. And this promotion came around, and like on launch day, their promotion was, we'll give you like $700. And you also we're basically locking you into 3 years on it. And I'm like, okay, 700 and 3 years? Like, that's shitty. I'm not doing that. And so I was getting annoyed, and I'm like, I don't even really need to upgrade my phone. I honestly don't care that much, but I do like the idea of getting it mostly paid for when I can.
And you're saying 700, 800. How much does that thing cost? $1,000?
$1,000 new.
Okay. Yep.
And so then I'm just kind of waiting it out. I'm like, well, I'm in no hurry. Something will come around. And I did get a message. Because does Verizon ever randomly text you offers? They're usually just like garbage offers. They're usually just like, oh, add a line and you can get an Apple Watch for only $100 a month. It's like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's what I need. An expensive ass Apple Watch that I paid. So I usually just ignore them, but they did. This was like on Saturday, sent me a text and it said, for a limited time, upgrade now and receive $1,000 towards the price of a new iPhone. I'm like, well, that's the damn thing's paid for. That's a free iPhone. Yeah. Like, I don't even have to put pen to paper. I can tell you that's too good of a deal to pass up. So what do? Actually, my kids, my parents took my kids this last weekend, so I just had this mental sense of clarity. I had nothing but time on my hands. I went to the Verizon store. I said, hey, I'm ready to upgrade. And they go, oh, yeah, we can help you out here. Let's do this. I was the only one in there. I got in right away. And they go, okay, yeah, we can give you $700. I'm like, whoa. I got
Yeah,
a text here
where's
saying
this?
I got a text right here saying I get 1,000. They're like, oh, let me see.
What was all this 1 in a million talk?
Yeah. And they go, oh, that offer's online only. I'm like, so what?
All right, see you later.
I'm like, so what? I can't do this here. I have to go home and do it. They're like, yeah, we can't take that in the store. So I drove home and 10 minutes later, filled out the thing online. I had the stuff and the phone showed up today. So,
Why would they? What level of insanity is that they're like, no,
I don't get
go home
it.
and
I don't know. And actually, I don't know. It's just dumb, whatever. But, and I actually decided this was the year to upgrade my storage. I normally was on the 128 gig. I jumped to 256 just because I like the idea of having all of my stuff. I had
So is that 1,000 or is that?
that was like an extra $100, but then you spread it out. You spread it out over 3 years. It's like $3 a month or something. So,
But so what did you have to pay then? Because you got 1,000, and how much did the thing cost?
well, the thing was 1,100. So all it will do is raise my bill $3 a month for the next 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But I always just pay, like this last time I pay for it, I don't put it in the bill.
Well, I don't know if they let you do that on some of these now, though. I think they make you. Because
okay.
Well, they might actually.
Because like last time I just wrote a check.
They
or,
might
you know,
on the
or just
difference
paid-
let you do it. Yeah,
right,
but
right.
but you are still locked in. If you leave early, you gotta pay the remaining balance. But
Right. I'm like, I'm not leaving. I've had the same cell phone.
right, that was the thing. And then I was doing the math of because every time Verizon changes the freaking name of the plans. So then, I'm on Play More, and now you need, because that was also the other thing is initially to do that was why I wasn't doing it right away too, is because initially you had to be on their like unlimited ultimate plan, which raised the damn price of my bill like $40 a month. It's like, well, okay, you give me $700, but my bill goes up $40 a month. I'm not coming out ahead here.
Oh no, yeah,
this one I didn't have to change my plan at all, so I was able to just keep what I'm on. So that
so like when they say that, why do they tell you that you have to up your plan to that other one?
well, because it
Like that's just to
subsidizes
get
the
the
cost
deal.
of the
That's
phone right there. Like it's not.
because that's why though, because in order to get the deal, you have to do that.
Yeah, you
That's
had
the
to,
only
and
way.
that was for like the first month and a half. And now that was also what sold me on this. Is it said like, eligible on certain unlimited plans. Well, the current plan I'm on was eligible, so I didn't have to change anything there either.
Right. Okay.
So
is that still running? Like if I need to do it, is that still a thing?
yeah,
that I can do?
I got the offer texted to me, but if you go into your Verizon app and go to it's like My Access, it probably has the offer in there for you. I'm sure it's sitting waiting, or you could be like me and just like pop into My Access and see it regularly, and then it never comes, and then eventually the text comes because I'm sure they know you're looking at that page of the app. And like, this person's this close to buying.
They're on the hook.
Let's just close the deal.
Yeah,
because that's what I had seen people say, like pop up, and this was a little while ago on Reddit. It was like, just check your My Access. Eventually, a deal will pop in there, and it did happen to me.
Yeah. So is it like to Nate's question? Then does your life feel a lot different now that you have that one?
Well, it's only been a few hours. The biggest change in my life is there's a different case on my phone, so that really is what feels the most different out of everything. Otherwise,
so the cameras tell me is. I don't know anything about it. Is the camera better and the screen is clear? I can say
the camera is better. The camera is better. I can say that for sure. There is some weird things where it has the dynamic island. It has the little pill at the top instead of the notch.
Okay.
And maybe you're not aware of that at all. There's a pill now, which adds some kind of wacky animations in there. It has an always on screen. So even when it's off, the screen is still kind of on, which is kind of trippy. You can turn these things off too. And then what was the other thing that threw me? We got new buttons now. The silent switch is now an actual button, and so you hold it down to turn your phone silent, or you can tap that button to basically program it to something. And on the side of the phone, there's an actual real camera button now, so you just have a permanent camera button on the side of your phone that does some stuff too.
They should put a button right here in the middle, like
down
right on the front.
Add a chin back on, do a big circle button.
Yeah.
There, now we're talking. Oh, and now it's actually a USB-C plug instead of Lightning. Lightning's gone now, so.
I don't like it when they change all the plugs.
Yeah, USB-C is the way to go, though.
Yeah. That's probably what they said about Lightning at the time.
Well, that was over 10 years ago, and at the time, yes, it was actually. Because do you remember the long-ass plug on those old ones?
Yeah, I still miss the really long one.
Was it the 30-pin, I think is what they called it?
Yeah,
dude,
I miss that one still.
Those things were crazy, looking back now, how big those were.
Well, we still have some at the gym that use that. So.
Actually, yes, you're right. Yeah,
those I still use those regularly. Yeah. What about the Mac? Is that a computer?
The Mac is a computer. They did announce some new stuff this week, but tell you what, Tanner, you're on it too. You're on an M1 Mac. I'm on an M1 Mac. Max is the name of the chip, I believe. And, spent a lot of money on it 4 years ago. I'm on the damn thing all day, every day, editing videos, editing photos, designing stuff, making websites, doing all types of creative things. And outside of exporting the podcast, I basically don't wait for my computer ever for anything. So
right now, already you're saying.
Already, I don't. The only time I wait for my computer is when it's exporting a 2.5 hour podcast. Then it'll take it over a little over an hour to export. But like when we do a 30-minute 4K YouTube video, like those might take 10 minutes to export, and that's still like really low key in the scheme of things. So yeah, I mean, I will upgrade my computer sometime in the next few years, but it's still just so like I've spent like $3,500 on a computer before, and after a year, been like, yeah, there's still a lot that could be improved here, and that is not the case anymore.
All right, now I got to look at these phones.
And you're a battery life sufferer. I was not in that.
Yeah,
I was not suffering from that. I checked my phone here, my old one. My battery life health was still at like 85% after 3 years.
When I checked that, mine's still good too. I think it's mostly I just use mine so damn much that my battery never lasts.
Yeah.
Is the battery any better?
Yeah, they always make improvements on the battery. So
that's my biggest thing. I want the battery to be 10 times better.
Well,
like
that's probably
I'm actually
too much to ask for, but
I'm completely fine with the way that the screen looks and what the camera does. What I want them to make is the camera the battery lasts twice as long.
Well, if that's your only concern, the Max typically does last longer because it's bigger, so they can put a bigger battery in it.
But I do not like that.
I know. Now it's like an issue putting that damn thing in your pants, and it's huge. Yeah.
Someone asked if we will use the old T-shirt blanks again at all, or will all the new designs be on the new blank? Yes, we'll be some of both going forward. We'll always note what's what, but it will not be all the quote-unquote oversized. I say oversized. I don't even know if that's the right.
I don't even. Yeah, maybe just a boxier fit. It's just not as fitted as the other ones are.
But we will do both. What's more southern, South Dakota or Arkansas? Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas for sure, right?
Arkansas for sure. Yeah.
I mean, we have South in our name, I suppose.
We do, but besides that, that's where the southern tendencies end.
Yeah. Justin asked, does Larry Legend really exist, or has he been a figment of our imagination this whole time?
Dude, I haven't seen Larry for so long. I don't even know.
Larry is like, it's like the Sixth Sense, where like nobody else has ever really, like, you don't actually see Larry interact with other people. Like, it's like, oh my God, Larry was a ghost the whole time. Spoiler alert, Larry was a ghost the whole time.
But no one else could see him.
Yeah. Jefferson deadlift only event at Lift Hard Live Easy Classic 3Z. We have the technology now. I don't think Jefferson only, but Jake has been releasing events, and there is Jefferson deadlifting incorporated there. Not too many weeks until that's coming up in November when registration is going to come out.
Yeah, actually, by the time you're hearing this, registration's only a couple weeks away.
Yeah. On that note too, we mentioned Crew Falls Either. We've actually finalized some things. We got our Saturday night location planned out. What's the name of that brewery that we're going to Saturday night?
So Saturday night, for everyone coming to town for Crew Falls, we have reservations. We have a room. We have a party room.
We have a room.
Remedy Brewing, downtown Sioux Falls.
Yep. Should accommodate the big crowd that we have signed up for that. So if you are a crew member too, that's not too late. You can still get signed up for Crew Falls. You just have to be wanting to come to Sioux Falls on December 7th is the main day. I actually touched base with Big Casey at, what's the name of the gym?
Los Campeones.
Yeah. We're all set to go there. Everyone's just going to have a online waiver. They need to, we've got the admission figured out and covered for everyone. Nobody needs to pay anything. We're just going to have to sign a waiver.
Did you
for him to give away your first
break down the content plan for him?
Yep, we talked about the he's very excited about everything. So that's all.
I've been keeping. Well, Colton lifts there, but
yep,
I've been keeping an eye. They have a lot of.
They got a good setup for us.
They do. They got a ton of Arsenal machines in there. I know those are pretty hyped up. They got
they got combo racks. They got
They got like 2 or 3
Strongman
Ghost
equipment.
combo racks in there, which nowadays
Yep.
seeing a Ghost combo new, I feel like isn't something that you run across too often. They got a full, and like the powerlifting stuff, obviously excited, but we have that stuff, so it's not as novel.
Yeah.
Whereas some of these other items are not something we see too often.
Yeah, so that's all coming together really nicely, and more people are signing up now too. So it's on our website if you want to get signed up for that. It doesn't cost anything other than whatever you got to pay to get there and to stay. But that brewery is really close to the hotels downtown. Where
Yeah,
everyone's staying
it's
this
within
year.
a lot of people are staying at the Hilton Garden Inn, and it's within like a block and a half of that. So easy walk.
And then on Friday, we're gonna go to Tommy's home gym.
Yeah,
Is that kind of
the plan right now is Friday when people get to town, we'll go eat lunch. I think it might have a little spot picked out for us, Tanner. We'll
perfect.
Eat lunch. I think a lot of people are showing up around noon-ish, so we'll have a little get-together there with whoever's here. And then I think Friday afternoon we'll go hang out in Tommy's garage gym for a few hours. And we were talking, I don't know, maybe we do a little grip challenge or something, maybe we get some prizes involved. I don't know.
Yep.
I could see that being a fun way to spend an afternoon. And then Friday night, we'll figure out something for Friday night. We don't got that pinned down yet, but we'll get that figured out too.
We also have multiple Hall of Fame inductees that weekend that are making it into the jacket level Hall of Fame. We'll be awarding those. Also, multiple people that are making it into the Silly Pint, the 12 achievement level. So we'll have a little ceremony for all of those people that weekend. It's actually shaping up to be quite the fun weekend in Crew Falls.
Yeah. Historic.
I wonder if we should kick everyone off for this.
Ooh,
We got some really exciting final stuff here, so that way these people all have to turn in to listen to the recording when it comes out too.
Just give me one reason.
I don't want them not downloading the episode and costing us RSS subscriber feed numbers.
Yeah, just tanking our numbers.
Tanking our numbers if the 10 people don't also download the episode when it comes out. Multiple people in here mentioned talking about the election, so of course we're not going to do that.
Did they actually though?
I mean, as jokes, yes.
Oh, okay,
like it's all people that like you,
So
British
it's like,
David.
maybe it's new people
Yes.
and they want to get our take on things.
No, British David says he just said the election, and I know that's at least the second. I just glazed over most of those, but
Nice. Yeah, I saw something the other day and it was like, oh God, maybe it was on SNL, and they're like, oh, thank God the election is next week. That means we only have to deal with this for like another year still.
or basically just forever.
I mean, kind of, yeah. It's
like now it's just
dear
like forever.
God. I've had multiple times in the last couple months where someone adds me on Instagram and I think, oh yeah, I'll add you too. And then I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, just sometimes I think of Instagram as my little safe spot, and then I just have just your posts and your story are nothing but just every regurgitated
You're like, yep, see ya.
talking point. I'm like, yep, we'll just turn this off and I'll pretend you never exist anymore. Like,
Yes.
you're not getting in, you're not entering my brain with your garbage you got going on here.
Yes. Someone says just agronomy as a general topic. We haven't really talked enough agronomy.
Where to start?
Yeah.
I'll take this one, Tanner.
Harvest is actually kind of wrapping up here in the
Is it
Dakotas
done?
for the
Is
most
it-
part. Not everyone's done, but within the next week, I think a large percentage of people will be done.
I was actually asking
So-
you about this, though. You said the commodity market, not super hot at the moment.
Prices suck balls. Nobody wants to sell anything. It causes a bit of an issue for loan repayment time when nobody wants to sell because the prices suck.
Because they're not
And
liquid anymore, huh?
so people want to hold. The problem with holding without a plan, it's not, you don't have to be a genius to figure out what the problem is you're holding because you're hoping that the prices are going to go up. And I'm not a predictor of this. If I
and
could
it's not
accurately
like the
predict,
stock market where you can hold forever. You're holding a perishable item, right?
there's a cost to holding.
Yeah.
Like there's multiple costs to holding.
I
It
mean,
is
how long could
perishable.
like right now, if someone harvests, how long could someone actually hold on to something for?
If it's the grain's properly conditioned and it's in the right, if it's in a bin with air and stuff like that, you could get away with, and it's not going in wet. If it's dry, you could get away with holding it for a really long time in theory. Without,
more than 6 months?
Yeah, for
more
sure.
More than a year?
Yeah,
do people do that actually hold things for more than a year?
Yeah, sometimes you'll hear stories, and usually this is just people with loads of money that that will have that bin over there has corn from 2 years ago.
Really?
Or
people can hold them that long.
Yeah, you can.
But it is like
there's
you said,
still a risk to it.
Incredibly expensive it's expensive to be holding on to stuff too.
Yeah, and also just to store it, there's a cost of storing it in the first place. You have to truck it there, and you have to truck it out of there, and the labor and the time and everything like that. But also, what I'm saying is, we don't know that the market's going to go up. Sometimes people hold it to sell it for even less later when they have absolutely no choice then.
Yeah.
If we knew the market was going to go up.
Yeah, this is no different than timing stock market, right? Essentially it's the same thing we're talking about, right?
Exactly. So that's kind of an overarching issue. The general egg economy with the prices kind of sucks right now. It's generally downturning, I would say.
And because
from what it's been like,
because commodities aren't necessarily at the whim of the economy, right? I guess
it's all connected.
It is part of the economy.
I'm not.
Is part of it though? Is it like an oversupply? Is that what you were telling me? Maybe?
Yeah, that's usually as far as the true economics of it. The supply demand thing is the overarching thing that's going on, and it also depends on how much the overall demand in terms of what are the markets for this particular grain? Are we able to export? Does China want it? Will China take it? What's the tariff situation? And then what's the domestic market like? Can we turn it into ethanol? Is the government subsidizing ethanol programs? Is the local
what was
cattle
Brazil's
market
crop like?
That's and that's back to the supply side of it. What's it's a global supply issue. So then you get in pockets locally, it's what are we talking about? Our crop sucked this year. And it's too bad for you because
yield too, like you're saying.
Well, you could be in pockets of that, but then overall though, the national average yield was quite good. So it's we're experiencing the shitty prices because of this large glut of supply.
So there's an
oversupply.
But
We don't even have the oversupply because we were in a spot that, and I'm not actually saying us because a large part of the Dakotas grew pretty good crops this year.
Mm-hmm.
But that can happen. Some parts didn't. They might have had hail damage or just drought or flooding or whatever it was. And it's the prices went down because of all the supply, and we don't even actually have the supply.
So you're just getting hit twice, basically.
Yeah. But there is way more factors there than I understand. But that's some of the, at least.
Wow.
That's the 10,000 foot view.
And that is the economy, baby.
Yeah. Yes. So that's overall though. Prices low, sucks, makes people less excited about selling their crop, which causes other issues then up and down the chain.
Yeah. Wow. That is interesting. Actually, yeah.
But if also people that forward marketed enough of their crop, it's not as big of a deal because if you
when you say that, you mean they locked in prices at a certain time.
Yeah, so a lot of times people do that within a year out. People will be marketing their next year's crop.
So the people that locked in last year are probably sitting pretty decent then?
Right. They locked in at a much better price than what the market is today, in which case the classic thing is you're like, my only regret is I didn't sell more, But typically...
Why didn't I buy Apple stock in 2005? What was I thinking?
Well, and it's this is the thing, sometimes... people make no decision. They end up cashing in the best because the market price at harvest ends up, it's more rare, but the whatever conditions in the market, the harvest price is the best it was all year. So then those that forward contracted actually lost out on some. Mm-hmm. But the idea is you forward contract your total potential in segments. And you do it anytime when you can forward contract.
Yeah, you're not.
At a
it's
price
not.
that
it's
is
not 100% or zero. Like you can do.
No, right. You should be doing chunks, and anytime you know that price is above your break even, at a price that is more than what your expenses are, that's a win.
Yes,
you know, and then it's like, but that's why you
ran a profitable business.
Yeah, but maybe it's not way above, so maybe you only market 10% right now, and you wait until next, you know, and then like, oh, the market goes up, I'm going to market 10% more of my crop, and you know, like that's what a lot of people will do is market in chunks like that. And there's calls and puts in a million different ways to market the crop, but for the basic part, those that are forward contracting are experiencing more success in the long terms than those that just do whatever the heck. It's like actually completely insane that people will take all of their potential revenue for the year and just say, nope, I'm just going to do at whatever the price is when I take it out of the field.
26 and we'll see what happens.
That's what it's like. And these are enormous businesses, which are actually just small family businesses, but in terms of dollar amount are enormous
on paper,
businesses.
We're talking tens of millions or more.
Yes. Yeah. At the very least, like even in very small cases, it's still hundreds of thousands of dollars. And like their livelihood that people will just be like, oh, I don't know. We'll see what it's like then. you know?
That is wild.
Yeah. And there's people all up and down the gamut, of course, of like those doing it really well, those doing it really poorly, and a bunch of people in between. So just like everything, I guess. There, that was a lot of agronomy. My wife said cacti. The only thing I would add about cacti is, have you seen Juji Mufu's been posting his cactus?
He said several call-outs of his cactus, hasn't he? I like those, how he treats it almost like it's another person at his gym. Yes,
he brings it around. Like it seems like it's always moving.
Yeah,
like he'll bring
one time it's outside at the barn. The next time it's in the gym. Like then it's in like the driveway. Yeah, it's always around.
I do like that. So we actually did get some cactus talk in there then too. Okay, let me come back around and see if there's anything else here. Okay, last one then, Tommy. How many post-lift beers makes me an alcoholic?
Oh, well, 12 is just to get to a good time.
Well, I was going to say you have to be 13. I think 13 makes you an alcoholic. If you're 12, that's the perfectly normal baseline. If you're going 13, after every lift, that might be alcoholic.
I don't know.
Then I would
13
be concerned.
Might just be like you're having a little more fun is all.
Well,
you know,
that's where I wouldn't even be concerned until you get, like, you don't even think
you're in the safe zone still at a 12er all day.
Don't even think about that question unless you're over 12.
Yeah, 13 is when
12.
you're starting to go on the road to, that's like the road to the road.
Right.
That's when you can start to think about it.
Polishing off a couple sixers or a full 12er or a flat of 12s, that's fine. Like that's just priming the pump for evening activities, honestly. Yeah. It would really be like if you're in that 13 to 24 range, depending on height, weight, tolerances.
Yes, your individual differences.
Experience level.
Yeah.
There's somewhere. It lies somewhere. The answer lies in there. If you're a full 30 rack kind of guy, I'm actually just impressed. I don't even think you're an alcoholic at that point.
You might
you're
have
just really good at drinking.
You might have gone past the scale back to a safe zone again.
Yeah, you're way out of the bell curve altogether that you're in your own curve.
Yep, you broke the system.
If you're a full 30, you always hear story. It's like, he drank 30 beers that night.
Dude, but looking back on it though, like you look at those days where you'd be like, oh, we're going to, like, for whatever reason, there's a party or something going on, like it's a homecoming type weekend. And it's like, oh, we started playing beer darts at like 11 o'clock. And, all of a sudden you put down like 8 beers, pretty quick. And then it's like, well, I'm kind of having a good time. So then you can coast on a few more. And it's like not that far into the day and you've had 12 beers already, And then it's like, I don't know, you just kind of keep them slowly going in. And then it's like, well, now it's nighttime. Now it's time to party again. And then you pile them on. It's like, that was a 30 rack of Stones by the end of the day. And also it's Keystone or Bush, which is basically water anyways. So can you
imagine how shitty you would feel the next day if you drank like 20 beers?
Now I would feel just so god awful. But actually, though, I will say this, though. If I stuck to just straight up light beers the whole time, though, as shitty as I would feel, it wouldn't be like if I went and was just doing shots and crazy stuff all night like that. Yeah, dude,
just in case this.
If I was doing shots and mixed drinks and beer and just mixing it all night, then I would be in trouble the next day, big time.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be real. I'd still be in trouble if I did 20 beers in a day, but
that's some pretty heavy drinking, honestly.
That is, but depending on how far you spread it out, right? if it's an all day affair, 20 is not like undoable.
I think the biggest reason I don't get there anymore is because that's what I'm unable to do is do it for that long. Like I just don't like drinking for that long anymore. That's my thing. You know, I'm like, like if we're going to go out and do it, I'm like, yep, I'm up for the party. I'm down. But I'm like, we're going to start drinking at 11 and like we're going to drink at noon and like what? I'm going to go out at midnight? No, like that's absolutely impossible.
And that was the thing is you'd start at noon and you'd go till like 3 a.m. That's just there.
It's
like,
possible.
well, I was awake for 14 hours. Even if I drink a beer an hour, which isn't that many, I drink 14 beers, you know?
Right. So that's a great answer to that question if I don't say so ourselves. But if you do happen to do a little bit of drinking, maybe a lot of drinking, luckily for you and all of us, Massenomics Podcast is sponsored by Build Fast Formula. Check them out at buildfastformula.com and their Drink Hack supplement. Let me get on Drink Hack. They've got, if you're a little bit of a drinker, if you're a 13 beer day kind of guy, they've got Drink Hack. See if I can find a little description. Well, let me just tell you about some of what it has in it. Vitamin B3, B6, vitamin B12, zinc, and then Drink Hack Blend, which is some other stuff that I don't really know about. So check it out. Actually, you just go read more about Drink Hack and you find out all the benefits.
Do your own research.
Yeah. What are you looking to me for? I don't know about supplements that much. They sponsor us, okay? Go to buildfastformula.com and ask them more about their supplements. God, what is this, the Spanish Inquisition? What I do know about is their 80-20 protein powder. That's my favorite supplement. I had some of that today in a smoothie. That's my other thing. Along with not doing anything, I found my appetite is just completely in the basement. And I'm like forcing myself to eat 2 meals a day basically right now because of my sedentary tortoise-like behavior.
See, this is when you start to really pile on the McDonald's and the fast food. This is when you really go all in
like
on that
stuff doesn't even sound good to me. It's not like I'm like, oh, good food doesn't sound good, I need to eat junk. I'm just like, I'm just not even hungry because I'm not like what have I, because it might even just be mental, but I'll be like, what have I even done to like what how have I earned
what do I
this
need
food?
Calories for? I haven't expended any.
That's right. So 80-20 protein, I have still been taking that, a couple shots of that a day to keep my protein intake up. Also, they got their pre-workout formulas. Check it all out. Use discount code Massenomics. It'll save you 10% on everything at buildfastformula.com.
This episode is also brought to you by Barefoot Shoes. If you head on over to www.barefoot.store, you can find our favorite barefoot footwear. And right now, if you go to the page to see all the footwear and you click on the newest tab, they have the cutest little barefoot cub shoes, which are barefoot shoes for your kids from sizes. This is toddler sizes we're talking. Toddler size 2 through toddler size 8. And these shoes are just adorable. They're great. So you can get even the youngest ones in your family in on the barefoot action. But if you're a regular size person and toddler shoes don't fit you, they also have a wide range to pick from there as well. They got the Ursus low top shoe. They got the Bruin boots. They got the Ursus high top. They got the Oso slip on. Basically, they got a shoe for you. So head on over to barefoot.store. And while you're there, make sure to use code Massenomics and you can save 10% on your next order. That's barefoot.store. Code Massenomics will save you 10%. Thank you, Barefoot Shoes.
Thanks, Barefoot. That did conclude our questions. What else do we need to hit on this week, Tommy? Anything burning?
I don't think so. I think that is the majority of it.
What are you going as us for Halloween tomorrow?
Oh, I'm just gonna be an adult supervisor. That's all I'm gonna be.
Yes,
I'm just hoping it's not like super. It's gonna be kind of cold, but I'm just hoping it's not windy because I don't know about there, but today it was kind of windy here and it felt cold.
Yeah, we just do inside trick or treating things anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Other than going to like family ones. We do like my work does one. The kids just get an absolute disgusting amount of candy, like way more candy. Like we'll try and give away most of the candy because it's so much more candy than they could ever even possibly eat.
Dude, my kids, just the candy starts showing up and it just infects their brain. It's the only thing. It's just all consuming. It's the only thing they can think of as long as there's candy around.
When can they get to more candy?
That's all they can. They just can't even think about anything else. It does not matter what's going on. It's just candy is the only thing they can think of. But we pretty much go down the street. I mean, we cover like about a 2-block area is all. And that's like last year, I think I said this. My boy, like, we got to the first house, they gave him candy, and he was like, "All right, we're done. Like this, I got my candy."
Thanks,
it's like,
all
no,
right, yeah.
we're actually going to more places. Like he couldn't
like,
wrap
what?
his head around that. You're getting more candy here.
Yeah, I thought if I could do like a peg-legged pirate thing, I could pull off a pretty good realistic costume, but ain't nobody got time for that. So that's Halloween. This will come out in November. And we'll start to talk more about those registration dates opening up for exclusively for Massenomics supporting members for the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic in 2023. Make sure to check out our drop. We talked about the items in there. I'm wearing the hoodie. We've got the tee in there and a couple new pairs of shorts. I love the shorts. They're the best shorts we've ever had, and that's by a long ways. We kind of custom made those, and between the material, the density, the length, the inseam, the pockets, the drawstring, the waistband, the size options,
The material itself.
Yeah. There's the colors. The printing on these is really good. It's better than all of the printing we've had in the past before on these. So check out those shorts for realsies. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Bear. Just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
Good job.